This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, it's a new setup on Zoom.
Yeah, new setup. Yeah. So, hello everybody. We're here on Zoom. It's great to be back on my results podcast. I'm very lucky and privileged today to be with a gentleman that I've only known for a short period of time, but during that time, a couple of meetings, he's really impressed me in terms of what he does and, just generally as a person. His name is Wayne Wright. And he runs a company called, I'm just looking over here to make sure I don't get the initials the wrong way around, Wayne, WSQ Solutions. So welcome to the conversation. It's great to have you here. And thank you ever so much for your time.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Steve. Yeah, good to be with you.
Thank you. So the Results podcast is all about trying to help businesses. And I know one of the things that you do is work on the sort of coaching, leadership, business growth side. But just to kick off, do you want to maybe give everybody an overview of you and your company and what you do?
Yeah, depends how long you've got. I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, just a couple of minutes.
Myself.
A couple of minutes would be great.
Of course, yeah. But in simple terms, I'm a scientist by training. I've worked with some of the sort of largest corporates around the globe in that respect, principally in the sort of building products, manufacturing, FMCG type of thing. But moved away from sort of science into sort of operations, into running businesses. And I think that's where my trajectory has been in my career.
Okay.
And then ultimately, about 20 years ago, took the opportunity to jump out of that rat race, and took the opportunity to just connect back with the family. I had 3 young kids under 7.
Yeah.
And not seeing them, traveling the world, all that type of malarkey. And then over that first year, really just took the opportunity just to help a few people that I knew in their own businesses, especially more medium-sized businesses, really helping them to make things happen, whether it's mergers, acquisitions, that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then really, I just found my penchant for really helping people. Really, I'm a people person generally.
Yeah.
And as a result, I took the opportunity to invest in a couple of businesses at that time. One an architect's business and also a medical device business. So I've got now 2 investments in medical device businesses here in the US.
Okay.
I exited the architect's business in 2010, and as a result of that, learned plenty of things. WSQ Solution was the vehicle I set up just to manage the whole thing, but it morphed into more an organisation that helps companies to grow, and so we provide executive coaching support. So businesses wanting to take that next step of growth, reaching that glass ceiling, not quite sure what to do, and how to break through that. And also helping organisations and owners prepare their business for sale and helping them through that sale process, whether it's acquisition or sale. But sale was a big thing that's coming through. So we've seen a lot of good people exit their businesses, and obviously, when you do that, you do it well. You set yourself up for life in terms of, what that means in terms of exit. So lots of millionaires created on the back of that. And that's heartwarming because they become friends. And
Yeah,
become
sure. Yeah.
Friends and on the back of those things, for obvious reasons.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, in my spare time, oh my gosh, I'm involved in the local community. I'm involved in my local church down here. And also, one thing that probably not a lot of people know about me, I own a basketball club. So
Wow. Okay.
Which, from humble beginnings 20 odd years ago, is now the largest all-ability youth club within Kent, serving kids from age 8 all the way up to 18, and then a couple of men's teams.
Oh, fantastic. That's really good.
So that consumes a big chunk of my Saturdays with a sort of 30-odd volunteers and whatever running the club and whatever it is. But it's been a...
Yeah, brilliant. I love that sort of thing. I think it's brilliant. Whether it's basketball or cricket or football or rugby or whatever sport it is, it's great that people like yourself are out there, volunteering and I'm a massive believer in the in how much sport does for us, both physically, mentally, and the world as one, really. So I'm not sure we mentioned this when I spoke to you before, but I too have a sports background. I used to play many years ago, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. I played table tennis at international level, and
there you go.
And I'm sure, whether it's basketball, table tennis, or any other sport, one of the things you absolutely need is a coach. You've got to have somebody who's going to help and advise you, which is a pretty good lead into where what we're going to talk about today.
Before you forget, probably also talk about the mental side of this as well.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we try and help our children and obviously adults as well is to understand the mental element of the sport element. You've got to be able to not only win well, also lose well.
Yeah.
And how do you come up? How do you rise from disappointment? How do you rise from failure?
Yeah.
How do you rise from taking the game shot and you actually lose it?
Absolutely.
Do you be scared to take the game shot?
Yeah. Do you want to do it again?
It's all these qualities that we believe in a sporting environment, which allows individuals to develop their character, help to understand about leadership, help them to understand about working in a team, help them to understand about trust, help them to understand about responsibility and accountability, we take these words for granted, but the workplace needs it.
Yeah.
We're preparing kids ultimately to be citizens for life in the way that we not only prepare them with a skill for basketball, but underneath that, the ethos and culture, what we're trying to put into kids, is preparing them to be better citizens.
I totally agree and endorse. There's, I'm sure, some stats around. I'm not quite fully aware of what they are about, success in sport and success in business. All I can tell you is from my days back, many years ago, when I did play table tennis, I sort of got ranked between 6 and 10 in England for about 10 years. And I look back with all those guys now, and the amount of millionaires in amongst them, I'd say it's something like, I'm going to go with about 30-40% have gone on to become, really very, very successful, including one of the guys who I think's in the top 60 wealthiest people in the UK.
Why?
Sorry?
Did you know why?
I don't know. I'm sure. Go on. Yeah.
Because ultimately the mindset of these individuals is that they don't give up.
Yeah. And I've got to say, out of everybody, the one I'm talking about was probably the most determined. He was like the pit bull of table tennis almost. He just would never give in. So and he's the one who's probably the most wealthy. So it's interesting. Yeah. I often say to people, in the world of marketing that, the reason most marketing fails is people give up. They go on, they try Facebook ads for a few weeks. That doesn't work. So they go on and try networking, and they go along to half a dozen, Chamber of Commerce events. They don't get anywhere there. So they try Google AdWords for 6 weeks without any training or, coaching or anything. And they find that doesn't work. So they go off and do something else. It's really weird, isn't it? It's a bit like trying to be the best at table tennis, badminton, basketball and so on, and trying them all for 6 weeks and then going and doing something else. It just is never going to work, I'm sure.
Focus.
So why, in essence, why do you think this thing called coaching, is so incredibly important in business?
We're always talking about it from a sort of analogy perspective in relation to sports anyway.
Yeah.
Because what typically will tend to happen is that you will, as an individual, you have a series of skills and activities which you do, but you're only seeing it for one vantage point.
Sure.
And the beauty of any good coach, even though they may not share your skill and your ability to do the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
What they do, that they see things from a different perspective.
Sure.
And it's not matter they teach you how to sort of, do these things in terms of, this is what you should do. They explore the opportunities around why you should do that. In other words, they will say to you, what about this and what about that? And could that probably unlock something? And so it helps you to take a different viewpoint where you may not have seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And the power of the coach is they're able to help to break and unlock those things, especially if it's bad habits, bad technique, bad ways, or whatever it is. So in the business perspective, what the coach is trying to do is trying to help to break blockages. Hence the reason at the beginning, when that my little preamble, I talked about the whole element of breaking glass ceilings.
Yeah.
You're doing, as you said, you're doing things all the time. You think that but you're not sticking at it, or you're not doing things in a way that's going to give you the breakthrough that you need.
Yes.
The coach helps you to stick at it, be accountable, and push on through.
Yeah.
And to understand that failure mechanism of failing, learn, failing, learn, failing, learn,
Mm-hmm.
failing. Because ultimately it's about learning and understanding and applying until you get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So coaching is for me, it's a powerful process. Yes, you can get there by yourself. Absolutely. I'm sure
Yep.
a myriad of people from, millennial has got there by themselves. But without exception, throughout history, throughout the human life, those individuals have had people around them and alongside them to help them on their journey to where they want to go. Invariably, they go there faster and more successful than those who try and do it alone.
Yeah. I totally, absolutely agree with that, both in my own experience and my experience working with people and advising and coaching them. So you mentioned there the quantifiable side of things. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that I find with businesses, particularly in the marketing area, is the lack of quantification. Because you can tell me to do something, you can coach me, you can move me down a certain path, but it's so incredibly important to then have a system in place to measure the results, isn't it?
No, absolutely, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, from a simple, purely business perspective, what we both do.
Yeah.
We have to be able to demonstrate return on investment.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
And therefore, there's no point convincing people that this is a nice program to have.
No.
If there's no real measurement or
No.
more important accountability to us.
Yes.
Of what we're doing.
Yeah.
What we're espousing in
Yeah.
terms of the stage going forward. Give a little apocrypha type business example as well. So I was talking to a potential prospect client about stuff, and he was just prevaricating over a period of time, and then he sort of said, look, I'm not quite sure. So I said, look, I don't want to really prolong this. Appreciate, it may be an important decision for you, but ultimately, if there's a problem, just talk to our clients.
Mm-hmm.
He said, what do you mean? Yeah, we've got real clients. They're real people. They're
Yeah.
happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So I gave him a couple of names. He phoned one of them. And about a few weeks later, I was just talking to this particular individual client, and he said, oh, by the way, one of your prospects contacted me, as you said they may do. I said, oh, okay, how did it go? He said, well, he'll say it's quite funny, because he started, telling me about what he's doing.
Yeah.
In a big preamble, and so I told him about the process and how it works for us and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he started chatting about the price and all the rest. And so I said, okay, so he said, well, the price is not cheap. It's, it's a little bit more expensive than normal, And
Yeah.
they said, look, it's up to you. I don't know, your business model. I don't know your cash flow or anything else. But if you want to deal with somebody else, I'm sure they can get you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 5%. But if you want to grow 40% or 50%, I think you need to talk to Wayne and his team.
Yeah.
and they became a client.
Yeah.
So the element of the value is really important in terms of what we do.
I was just going to say,
demonstrating to people that value and the return on investment is certainly really important, and that's what so that's what we are. We're results based organisation. So we have to demonstrate that we.
But in truth, Wayne, I think no matter what you charge, it's almost irrelevant, isn't it? I often tell people I'm talking to, I said it doesn't matter what I charge. All that matters is your return on investment. Whether I charge an amount of money. Let's say, when are
you going to achieve that, Steve?
Yeah. That's that's
so,
all.
You can have a return on investment, but it could take you 10 years.
Of course. Yeah.
But and that's the power of coaching. It accelerates that investment opportunity.
Yeah.
To get you quicker to where you want to be than you are when you just started.
Because you like me, you've been around a while, and you've got you know what works. I've probably wasted more money on marketing than all my clients put together, in truth. And so I've learned to to not waste money on it. And that's what I try to make sure I don't do, and my clients don't do, because certainly in the world of marketing, a lot of money's wasted, and people don't get the return on investment from it. So coming back to coaching, so we've got somebody who's looking to grow their business. They've got it to a reasonable level. They want to get it to the next level. What are the sort of top 3 tips or thoughts? I suppose it varies quite a lot from one person to another.
Of course,
but what would some tips be?
I'll take one example, but everybody is different. I think that's the important thing for your listeners to understand that there isn't that sort of, I'll call it cookie cutter
do this
formula that guarantees success, or it just doesn't work that way in life. However, the key thing is that what we always try and understand is where they're at and what they're trying to go. So invariably, most of the time, when people are bouncing around, their vision becomes really blurred.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that you need to have some clear understanding where you need to go.
Yes. And when, as you say, when are you going to get there? Yeah.
Because if you don't understand, or more important, able to articulate that vision, then everybody around you is going to be fuzzy.
Yes.
Everybody around will be jumping around on whatever it is and doing things that they think that you want to do, but you're not clear yourself.
Yeah.
So there's no focus. There's no goals which the organisation rallies around to shape where you want to go. So the first thing we always do is help people to focus on that vision.
Yes.
Ask the question: why do you exist?
Okay.
What is the customer's pain that you're solving?
Right.
Because ultimately, if you're not able to answer that simple question, get the vision where you want to go, your business is not even fit to even sell to the next client, let alone to grow the next thing. And obviously, clearly, as a business, we need to acquire clients. That's where you come.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the bottom line is helping them to really craft that vision and understand that.
Yeah.
And what we're really good at is helping them to set that roadmap to that vision.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where a whole host of different tactics come into play. In terms of the client acquisition, nurturing. Yeah. And then obviously coming on board, and the products and services and innovation and the message and the operational excellence around that, and more importantly at the back end of it, the collection of the money.
Sure.
And more importantly, the measuring of performance.
Yes.
Measuring of your clients and how they are satisfied, how they are happy, and how they engage. Because if you don't do that, you will not establish whether you're still relevant to meeting the needs of your clients for the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gold, absolute gold. The vision is mainly cloudy because organizations have missed their relationship with their clients. What they've started off in the early days in terms of the relationship or the proposition that they have pushed through is not the proposition that they are talking about today. And there's a fuzziness around that. What is it? What do we do? What do we sell? How do we sell? What do we offer as a product and a service? So we try and clarify that.
Yeah.
And then package that up so that performs a basis for where they want to go.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, so that's the first thing, vision. Setting those clear goals, which again helps to have your people around to focus on where they want to go.
Yeah.
Massive. The third aspect is the customer journey element.
Yeah.
And making sure that your the whole business is aligned to the customer. It's obsessed. You need to just live and breathe. You know what those customers are. You know what they eat. You know what dogs they have. You know what they're all that type of stuff. You totally understand your customers inside out.
Yes.
And the issues that they're having and they're facing, and you're aligning the organisation to solve those issues. And the third one is, and again, there's a whole host of different things anyway. But the one that when I did the book, one of the big things of the skill that can be learned, which defined those organisations that we worked with, those that did really, really well, was about leadership.
Yes.
And about helping people to have the skills to take their organisation to align themselves with the vision that they have going forward.
My dad always said to me when I went in business, which is 26 years ago now, he said, remember this, you're only as good as the people who work for you. And, it's very, very true. But I know, we work in slightly different markets, I think. I'm more working with the smaller end business, whereas you're sort of more medium to large business.
I was going to say upper small, medium.
Yeah. And I know working with small businesses, the three things that you mentioned there are so often missing. Your typical small business doesn't have a vision. They have no real understanding of where they are right now in terms of their numbers. They don't really have a plan to get there because they don't know where there is. They only know they'd like to do better. They're not making enough money and they want to increase it. But, when you start talking to them about doing things like, well, it might be a good idea if you learn how to generate leads more effectively, or perhaps close leads more effectively, and looking at let's have a look at your customer retention system or your customer service system. They just don't have that. It's like a million miles away, and it just amazes me. I remember a little while ago going. I say a little while ago. It's probably about a couple of years ago now with COVID and everything. But I went to speak at this big conference in Birmingham. And I think there were about 1,000 people there, and I got on the stage and I said, right, hands up who's responsible for sales. I literally got 1,000 hands. I then said, hands up who's done any sales training in the last 5 years. I got about 50 hands. And I mean, it's just bizarre, isn't it? If you're going to be a good leader and you're going to, move your business forward, one of the things I'm sure you've got to work on is yourself, in whatever way that is.
No, self-awareness is super important, and as we get older and we see sort of grey hairs and older, the lack
I got a few of those.
You get very much more self-aware.
Yeah.
Than anything really, you're aware of your limitations, but the best leaders, and this is a little tip for your listeners here. And come back to the sporting analogy again, and
okay.
I'll leave that with Rene Carroll, is a good mentor and friend of mine. He says the best leaders are Olympian at one or two things.
Uh-huh.
And they do it really, really, really well. Yeah. Their skill base is just off the chart.
Yeah.
And the other areas that are not so great, they either do two things. They either delegate, or raise their competencies. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And for example, in some of the small businesses that you're working with, make sure, you may not know how the numbers are derived, but make sure you understand what that numbers mean.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that if the number goes up or down, you can understand exactly the impact it's having on your business.
Yeah. And take action to do something about it, because
There you go.
again,
Right.
people come to me and say, oh, we're our numbers of people visiting the website have gone down by 20% this month, and I go, right, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, I don't know really. I just write the numbers down and and that's it. What are the numbers giving you? They're giving you the knowledge to know what's working and what's not, and what you need to do about it.
Or
That's
even
the
worse,
key.
in your case, there's no knowledge of equating that number to business performance.
Absolutely, yeah.
So is the 20% means that next month you're going to have 20% less orders?
Yeah,
Or 20% less cash?
yeah,
But whatever it is, So it's linking up those key metrics.
yeah,
with the performance of the
absolutely.
is super important. We try and teach people to do that. But look, absolutely, that self-awareness of understanding, themselves, understanding the capabilities of the leader is really, really, really important.
One of the challenges I have dealing with, and I've, like you, work with many businesses, is quite frankly getting the buggers to do it. You give great advice, and like for example, right, we're going to agree that we're going to measure our results with, we've got these matrix, and then you get in, you get so far down the line, maybe a month or 2 months, and they've done nothing with that really valuable thing. How do you, as an organisation, how do you deal with that? I'm happy to tell you what I do, but it just amazes me that that they know it, they believe in it, they've agreed to do it, and they don't do it.
Well, the hard work, to be fair, Steve, is and Maslow points it out very well. You don't know what you don't know.
No.
And I think that what most coaches fail to do, and I'm sure we're giving away a little bit of the crown jewels of what we do here, but we never tell people what to do.
Right.
We never advise.
Okay.
We
Coach, yeah. There's a big difference, isn't there? Yeah.
Right. And the reason for this, because ultimately, if you are able to find accountability to yourself, if you cannot believe yourself, you're not going to be able to believe anybody else.
No.
So we try and help people to understand why ultimately that another way is probably a good way.
Yes.
And then we get them to a stage where they understand if it's a good way or not good way. So there are, in other words, for example, let me give you a little real practical example. I'm sorry, a bit waffly a bit of it. Let me just try and create a bit more foundation.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if somebody says, that I think we need to go to America to grow the business.
Right.
My question to them would be, okay, why is that? Oh, we need to do this and this and that and that. I said, okay, all right. So just think it through. What would that look like here and there? And, do you have enough cash to be able to do that? Well, I think we just need to go. We just need to get on the plane and just go. Okay, fine. But your product has a particular element where, if you go over there and you sell it, you may infringe some trademarks or patents out of there. Then, from my experience, Americans are quite litigious. So is it worthwhile just taking a step back and having a think about it, or or having a chat with some contacts on the trademark patent attorney, wherever? There's some sharks out there that you may need to be just be cognizant on the thing about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't really think about that sort of stuff. Okay, I'm not saying you shouldn't go. No. What I'm trying to say is that that there's an opportunity, or you may say, well, I'm not quite sure about not going to America because of, but America's, the largest market in the world. Why wouldn't you want to go there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for what you're doing, this is the market size.
Yes.
Why are you afraid of it?
Yeah.
And we explore that as well. So ultimately, what we try and do is help people to understand what is around them.
Yeah.
And then they may come back to us and say, well, I don't think the business is ready now, because they've got the knowledge now.
Yes.
Because what we want to do, we want to help them to be able to think in a way that they can understand some of the rudiments and principles, understand the risk associated with doing business, and to mitigate those risks associated.
Yes.
That's what our duties, our physical duties as a director, and that's what we asked by the Companies Act to do.
Yes.
So therefore, it's super important that as coaches, we try and help them to have the skills to be able to think the way that we're thought because of the experience that we now gain in doing certain things.
Yeah.
So obviously, like in your case, you want to ensure that they're thinking in a way from a marketing perspective where you don't have to be there and they automatically think, oh, Steve would have done it this way.
Yeah.
Or Wayne would have done it that way.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the process. Once you start telling people what to do, what will they come around and back and say to you?
It's your fault. You told me to do that. You told me to do that.
You spend 10 grand on doing the American trip or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Very true.
They've got to come up with it. It's their business.
Yeah.
They've got to come up. And I think that the tension that we have as coaches and entrepreneurs and consultants, and I hate the word consultants because consultants are about doing stuff. So forget consultants. Yeah. I said that.
Yeah.
Coaches and advisors.
Coaches.
So, is that the thing that we always have the tension of is that sometimes we know exactly what to do. But the world has changed. What we did in growing businesses 20 odd years ago doesn't necessarily mean it's relevant today.
Yeah, it's changed enormously, hasn't it? We
haven't had Google 20 odd years
ago. No.
Amazon was still in Jeff Bezos' garage.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, what I'm trying to say
is
that the world has changed. The way that we procure, we engage, we work with clients has changed massively. And therefore, sometimes I see people, they're foistering their advice on people. That's 20 years out of date.
Yeah.
Our job as a coach is to be able to open up the opportunities and the differences and helping people understand the sharks around and to say, look, there's sharks here and there and there. Doesn't mean you don't do it. Just means that you make sure you carry a harpoon with you to shoot the shark when
I like that. Yeah. Fantastic. So, one question, just out of what you've just said there, has just come to mind. What's going to happen in the future? And that's a very difficult, almost an impossible question to answer, I think. But obviously, everybody says this COVID's changed the world and business is going to be done differently. What are your thoughts or opinions on what's going to happen over the next few years and how that's going to affect and impact business?
I'm not the futurist, but anyway,
no, I do understand that.
To anybody who,
my
PI insurance is quite high, but not that high. But no, it's being serious. I'm sorry. Absolutely, on a number of fronts, business has changed. I mean, clearly on the retail side, it's just massive.
Mm-hmm.
Retail across the world.
Across the world. It's still way down, isn't it?
And I said it. I was in some keynote wherever speaking, and they asked me about that question, and I said the way that retail are going to have to respond is create a more experience type environment where people are encouraged, they are enamored, they are blown away by the experience.
It's almost like an entertainment, isn't it?
There you go. So an example where and I should really sort of create a pattern around this or whatever. Anyway, this should have an example where you go into your local Sainsbury's or Waitrose or whatever it is, and in the corner you have a stage and you have a celebrity chef there, and they're cooking up this little meal. How to cook the food. And you know what? The ingredients are right on the side.
Yeah.
And you've got those sort of destination type places where, and they're coming up. They have been around, and some of the Italian delicatessens come restaurant type. Are doing something similar to those sort of things. And I think same with the clothing, people still want to feel and touch.
Yeah.
So it hasn't gone away. It's just that you've got to create a different environment which allows online, offline experience to happen.
Yes.
Within that environment. In terms of business, I mean, obviously Zoom has been a nightmare in terms of, killing our humanity in terms of being
Well,
together,
it's
you know.
yeah.
And I think, you know, on the one hand, absolutely, for those services or activities where you can create a work balance for those who want to have it,
Yeah.
that's fine. But I've had clients where, you know, they've had staff wanting to resign because they can't take this remote working.
Yeah.
Because their whole identity and their social network is the work environment.
Yeah. Well, that's a real big one, isn't it? You know, people working from home. You know, I personally, I'm working at home today, but I don't really like it. I'd rather just go into the office. I'm a massive. I do love Zoom because it saves me hours and hours of driving up and down the motorway. I'm quite a big believer in, you know, saving the world sort of thing, you know, and green issues and stuff, and that's always good. But at the same time, I do love the idea of being around people rather than, you know, here on my own, working in my office.
No.
And I got
the humanity element is really, really important and really strong. And if also you're in a design, creative type environment, you must have people together.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the creativity, innovation happens when people are together in the same environment, sparking off one another.
Yeah.
So you cannot do those type of things.
No, and that's where all the, you know, right, where are we going to go, guys? What's the goal of this business or the goal of this project, or what are we going to achieve in the next 3 months? And you know, it's very difficult to do that remotely, I think. But interesting. So
you know, so the whole host of different things are around that. You know, in terms of, you know, retail, the way we work in, way we lead an organisation. You know, offices will be contracted. I see that coming. So you know, the flights around the world are going to decrease.
Yeah,
probably about 50%, I would reckon.
Yeah.
Certainly, you know, in my organisation, we have purposely agreed that we will limit the amount of travel. So we have a sort of first meeting, probably second meeting. Then most of it will be done remotely. And catch up every, you know, half a year, whatever. Rather than just constant meeting them all the time. So we'll do it that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably roughly what we'll be doing. I think. Yeah.
And also, you know, that means that we engage with clients. You know, obviously the internet has provided an opportunity for business in a different way. We'll see the emergence of blockchain as an emerging technology. The way how we handle data, how we have privacy, those sort of elements. The AI and machine learning will become a bit more dominant in everything that we're doing. It's happening behind the scenes, regardless whether we like it or not. And it will continue to play a part in how we are doing business, how we acquire data, customer information. I think smaller businesses will get more acuter in terms of the use of data. Bigger businesses are already exploiting it. Smaller businesses will have a lot more handle. I'll see a lot more sort of apps, widgets, different things coming on board, which allow smaller businesses to really interrogate the data they have to help them to acquire more customers or to drive business. So those things are going to be, you know, more prevalent in the next couple of years from my vantage point. My core vantage point.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're right. Sorry to put you on the spot a bit there, you know. So what's going to happen in the world? But, you know, I do just love, you know, different people say, you know, answer that question in different ways. But I think we're all agreed that, you know, the one thing we can guarantee is it's going to change. You know, it's not going to be like it is, you know, was before. You know, people saying, "Oh, I can't wait till it goes back to how it was before." You know, and I say, no, I don't think that's going to happen. It's, you know, constant change.
A bit earlier, but, you know, I was saying to a lot of my clients at the beginning, saying the leadership style that you adopted through the pandemic is not necessarily the same leadership style that's going to take you out. To drive growth. And that's why in most organisations, especially the bigger corporate organisations, they swap their CEOs over.
Right. Yeah.
Because one CEO may have a style, you know,
who's good at keeping it going.
Now the thing's going like this, and they're trying to get out. They haven't got a clue.
No.
They're the CEO for the growth times. They're the happy CEO, we call them.
Yeah.
You know, willing to get into the trenches, make it happen, mobilise people for a clear goal and help them.
It's very similar, again, to give the sports analogy, to a football manager, isn't it? You know, you've got a team that's maybe on a bit of a dive. You know, you need a manager to come in, stabilise things, get the basics in place, start to move ahead. But then if you really want to take it to the next level and, you know, perhaps get back into the Premiership or something like that, you need a different type of manager to help you to grow to that level, I think. So, really true.
And the beauty about, you know, so please, none of your listeners will think that you have to sack yourself in the business.
No.
The beauty about leadership in business is that you can learn.
Yes.
And so, you know, during COVID, it was really, I create the analogy of the sort of general type, approach. You know, get your hands dirty, get into the trench, really just making sure that you understand the business, understand the issues, you know, rallying your troops.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough, but we're in it together. Let's get out of it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, when you're coming out of it, then that's when your style changes.
Yes, sure.
It's okay, what we're doing here, we've got some innovation going on, what can we create, you know, to really now augment what we have, what new products, what new services we're trying to do.
Yeah.
To the fact that we're still here and we're
still
moving
here.
Forward.
Brilliant.
So those sort of things that, you know, that as a leadership, in terms of leadership style, we need to be cognizant of, and that's difficult.
Yeah.
And that's where the coaching comes into play, because it helps you to align your leadership style in relation to the goals that you're trying to create.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're just about to sort of bring things to an end. Thank you ever so much for your time. It's been really insightful. It's actually given me a lot of things for me to think about in my business as well, and I hope and believe it has for everybody listening. So if people want to find out more about you, I know you've got a book that you've produced, 10 Commandments of Business Growth. Yeah, there we go. So I suppose a couple of things is one, how do people get hold of that? And two, how do people get hold of you if they want your help?
Well, the obvious, you know, I'm on LinkedIn, so if you just put Dr. Wainwright in the search, you'll be able to get hold of me, connect, follow, whatever it is. Love to hear from you. Really do, especially if, you know, how you found, obviously, our time together. The website is W2 Solutions, so WSQ Solutions with an S.com. And on there, you'll get some other bits and pieces, some freebies. And at the same time, you know, there's a link for the book on that.
Okay.
Or go to Amazon and put in the 10 Commandments of Business Growth.
And get it on Amazon. Yeah.
It's on Amazon and it's also on Kindle as well.
Okay.
I'm also doing Audible, so look out for
all right. Okay. That now you talk. That's right up my street. I am going. When are you going to get it on Audible? Do you know? Because I will definitely.
Put me on the spot. So this is the camera.
Okay.
This is your camera coming through.
I'm a bit like that. When's it going? Give me the date. End of August. Right. Okay. That's definitely for me.
It's all there. I just need to set it up and find the time as always.
Yeah.
End of August.
Okay, good stuff. I love Audible. It's brilliant. I listen whenever I'm driving in my car, I'm listening and learning from people like yourself, and it's brilliant.
The online course allows you to do that as well.
Yeah.
On the website, we have an online course which we've launched about 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
52 videos.
Perfect.
Takes people through the journey of, you know, starting, growing, the whole element of customers, value proposition, sales, marketing,
that's
innovation,
excellent.
Leadership,
and
even preparing your business for selling. And the mental anguish that goes through that process.
Yeah.
What you do coming out the other end. So it's not an online course. Please have a look at that.
Yeah, definitely go and have a look at that.
But the nice thing about it, just hearing what you're just saying, you can play that in your car.
Yeah. Down the gym, walking. Yeah.
And when you're walking, and you just listen to it and get some.
I listen to mine walking the dog as well, you know, and it's a totally different way of learning that, you know, has changed, hasn't it? You know, the reading a book is like a bit of hard work, but I can sit there listening to stuff all day, you know. It's much easier. So, website, where do people go?
The website, I think I just mentioned it before, WSQsolutions.com.
Okay, fantastic.
Right.
Okay.
And so, like I say, on LinkedIn, those are the
Two main
vehicles
ones,
that I
yeah.
use.
Yeah.
And then after that, other things like Twitter and then
Yeah.
YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
Come out
Yeah.
But they're the two main ones.
Or
you can just drop me a line at Wayne Wright, all one word, at WSQsolutions.com.
Perfect.
Wayne Wright, all one word, at WSQsolutions.com. Love
Perfect.
to hear from you. On the website, there's a Calendly link as well.
Yeah, okay.
And that allows you to have a chat with me. It's
Book
free.
the meeting. Yeah.
Happy to have a chat with anybody who wants to know a little bit more about their business. Happy to just give that little help. That's to help Steve's clients and stuff like that. Happy to do that.
Great. Okay. Thank you ever so much again for your time today. So that's just about it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Look forward to speaking to you again on my next podcast. If you do want to know more from me, if you're new to the podcast and this is perhaps the first one you've watched, it'd be great to subscribe to it. Again, you can get me on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, which is steve-mills.com. Or you could go and watch, I think it's something like 500 videos I've now got on YouTube. So go and watch one of those. That'll keep you busy. But don't watch it while you're driving the car, whatever you do. Okay, thank you very much for listening and look forward to speaking to you again next time. Thank you.
The recording has stopped.